Would you ask a baby to do brain surgery? Would you ask most people under the age of 10 to work on your car unattended and unchecked? I'm betting the answer to both of those questions is no. Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I am Kurt. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of January of 2021. Welcome to everybody who's coming on the podcast on Rumble and on YouTube. Thank you for joining me today. The subject of today's little video and podcast is going to be With Age Comes Folly? And yes, that's a question. That's what that was intended to be. My son was watching a show, and I'm not even going to say where, and I'm not going to say what the show was, but the basic premise, one of the basic premises of the show was that there was this planet that was basically created out of whole cloth, right? And it had aliens on it, of course, because what good is a planet without aliens these days, particularly where kids' movies are concerned. So here's this planet, and it's been created, and it has aliens on it, and the aliens look terrible, right? They look horrible, but it turns out they're really good aliens. And I'm not, again, since I'm not even telling you what the actual show is, this is not really any kind of giveaway for the show, right? But one of the premises of life on that planet was that the planet was ruled by children. And the thing about that is that seems like something that recently has become more and more a thing that people are trying to sort of sell, is the idea of the genius of youth. And I just wanted to say, first of all, before I get into much of anything else, I'm not disparaging people who are young. That's not what this is about. What I'm trying to do is get you to understand that the fact that young people are not bad people does not mean that young people are those who should be running our country and our civilization at this point in time. There's something to be said for the idea that as one gets older, one gets wiser. I tried to find a biblical passage with regard to this, and I'm sure there are many that actually fit the bill, but I couldn't find one immediately, so I'm not going to use one today, even though I'm pretty sure that there are, as I say, any number that I could find that would actually express this idea. I imagine Proverbs has one or two of them as just one place that you might find them. That said, though, here's what I'm trying to get at. There's this, well, I'm going to give you just a little thought, okay, a consideration. One of the things that I saw that supposedly represented what happened with Buddhism, with the existence of Buddhism, was that the Buddha, the Bodhidharma, the guy who was an incarnation of whatever, I don't even know exactly, but the Buddha essentially, I don't know if he crawled out of his mother's womb and stood up and started to walk, or he was taken out of his mother's womb and stood up and started to walk, and flowers started to grow in his wake, sort of thing. But one of the two is true, right? Now, is that what actually Buddhism says? I have no idea. All I know is that this particular video showed this baby essentially coming out of his mother's womb and pretty much directly standing up and walking away with flowers growing under his feet as he walked. Now, I don't know about you, but where I believe in miracles, that particular thing, I'm pretty sure is not what happened. Okay? I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. But if it is, let's just say that it is for just a second. Is that something that you expect to be a common or normal thing for children? Well, if you're a parent, I'm pretty sure you're going to answer that no, because you probably have had to teach your children how to walk, and there were probably numerous thuds on the butt before, thank God for diapers, right? Before that walking thing happened. And it took even longer to get them to run, and various other things like reading and writing and so forth they had to learn how to do. And this is an important realization, because it's this sort of thing that shows us that there's this sort of progression for most people in the learning process. I had a friend many years ago, and he has a child, and the child is grown by now. He's probably 20-something years old. That he had adopted. He and his Korean wife had adopted. He was a Euro, she was Korean, and I was married to a Korean lady at the time. They had adopted a Korean baby, the two of them, and that kid was sharp as tacks. He could read collegiate level stuff at age 6. But let me just tell you something. My two older kids are pretty smart. The next one's pretty smart as well. The youngest one is moderately autistic, but even so, he's pretty smart. Okay, none of them could read collegiate level at age 6. They could read, they could write, lots of them. The youngest one's still working on that at 8, and maybe working on it for a good while to come because his brain works differently than other people's. But my point is this: you don't even know how to read, how to write. You don't know very much about how the world works. Even at age 18, you don't know very much about how the world works, but you don't know how to read and write, and typically until you're in any kind of meaningful way, until you're 10 or 12 years old for most people. Some of them are younger, some of them are older, and that's fine. Some of them never learn to read or write, but they still gain a good deal of wisdom in the process. But my point is simply that we progress, and as we progress, our wisdom grows. Now, there are things that cause us to regress, cause us to go backwards, okay? And there are people who just really never get to a place of progression, right? They never get there. They never go very far along in the path. I've met people in their 50s and 60s who still act like they're teenagers. And I get wanting to enjoy life. That's fine. But there are lots of things that you learn along the way that make it so that you ought to decide that you need to do some things differently than you did when you were a teenager. And younger, right? When you were younger. So the point I'm making here is that with age, for most people, and this doesn't happen for everybody, comes wisdom. Right? That's just reality. So the idea of a planet where kids run the planet without adults looking after them is really a rather silly idea, right? Whether that's Earth or anywhere else. Does that mean you don't let your kids create? Does that mean you don't let them learn and fall on their face when that's needed and called for and so forth? No, it doesn't mean that. And I'm not trying to say that. What I am trying to say to you is, though, hopefully for you, as you get older, you will become wiser. You will come to realize certain things that are important that maybe you did not know when you were younger. And your knowledge will help you to make a better world. Again, that doesn't mean young people can't make the world better. It's not what that means. But it does mean that the reason older people do certain of the things that they do is that they've learned certain things in the course of their time that they're applying to make it so that their world hopefully is a better world. Some people aren't doing that, and I'll acknowledge that directly. Some people don't care about a better world, and some people are confused about what a better world looks like, to be quite frank. So we know that's true. But all of that being said, I think the majority of people are trying to do that. Now, let's face it, one of the things about life and about civilization is that the way it's improved is with people questioning what's happened in past. So I'm not saying that there isn't benefit in what young people do when they question what older people say. And I'm not saying that there isn't benefit in older people questioning what others say. I think all of that's beneficial. You have to be careful because you can make problems for the society if you just question things, or more correctly, if you just throw things out when you're questioning them. It's okay to question things. It's not maybe so great to just throw them out because they're questionable to you, right? And this, again, is a thing of wisdom. You learn over the course of time. For a long time, I sort of threw out science, but I learned something about it. And it is that whether or not science is correct, and generally, by the way, the things stated scientifically are not correct, there's some degree of correctness to them, and they help us to model our universe, our world, our universe, whatever. And so they're beneficial in that sense. But the point of all of this is very simple. Like it or not, if you want to be wise, typically you got to get old. You can like that or not, but that's the reality. I'm not saying there's no such thing as any kind of wisdom in youth. I'm just saying that most wise people are old people. And that's because they've had a chance to experience, to experiment, to really look at their world and understand how everything works. Okay, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As I say, today is Wednesday, the 6th of January of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Thursday, the 7th of January of 2021. And I'm going to, again, try and get another Daily Summation out tomorrow. Don't have any plans to not do that. Running behind on getting my Daily Summations out on the web, but I am working on that as we speak. I'm glad to have you aboard, as I say, whether on Rumble, on the podcast, or on YouTube. Thank you for being here, and I definitely appreciate the time that you spend with me. And again, the folks on Rumble, you're really making, I'm almost up to 5,000 total video views, which is not much for a lot of people, but it's something for me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Hope you're doing well. Hope your week has been going well this first week of the new year. I hope it's been going well. And I hope everything continues to go well for you as the year, both the week and the year progress. And hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Wednesday, the 6th of January of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.